Everyone, welcome to this day in Philly sports history for April 15th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the podcast. It is Tuesday. That means it's time for a little motivation / positivity. We're going to do something different over the next 5 weeks. Typically, I find a quote or something that we discuss. However, this one I came across and I've been sitting on it for probably like 8 months now. And I feel like with the spring, everything starting over fresh, it'd be a good time to kind of have this focus. And over the next 5 weeks, we're going to talk about 5 harsh truths that we all are guilty of not believing. And hopefully this will get some motivation and help you along your way. So over the next 5 weeks, each week we'll go over one of the harsh truths that sometimes we don't want to admit or we don't want to acknowledge. So today, the first harsh truth is no one is responsible for your happiness but you. And this ties in a lot with what we talked about last week when we discussed Clint Hurdle's discussion about proving yourself right versus proving others wrong. But I like this because it's ultimately up to you. Stop looking at others to determine your worth and your outlook on life. And if you're not happy with something or you're not happy with something in your life, stop blaming others for it and do something about it. And we talk about this a lot, but to hear it kind of put out there bluntly like this really kind of hit home. And it's easy to do. Trust me, it's easy to say, oh, because of this person, I'm miserable, or this person put me in a bad mood, or I can't do this because of that. And ultimately, that's not the case. It comes down to you. You are responsible for your own happiness, and you control how you respond to things, how you handle things. I hear all the time, like, oh, I'm in a bad mood because of this. But ultimately, it's your decision and your choice how to respond. And if you choose to be miserable, you choose to be unhappy, you choose to do things that maybe you don't want to do, then that's on you. You can't control the circumstances. However, you can control how you react and respond to those circumstances. So at the end of the day, you and you alone are solely responsible for your own happiness. And if you're not happy, do something about it. Make changes. And I think that is great advice to live by. So hopefully you can get something out of that. But over the next 5 weeks, we are going to take a look at the 5 harsh truths that we don't necessarily want to acknowledge or we tend to ignore. And today, no one is responsible for your happiness but you. If you're not happy, go do something about it because you and you alone are the one that's responsible. We'll have the other 4 harsh truths in the next couple weeks, but hopefully you can take something out of that as you go about your weeks. Some quick housekeeping notes. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, at PhillyJimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont, and continue to spread the word as we grow this thing. And remember, there are clips and highlights and newspaper clippings, pictures of what we talk about every day on this day in Philly sports history. So be sure to check that out as well. All of my social media, including Facebook and LinkedIn. All right, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. We were doing our missing rings, and I asked you, we focused on Jerome Brown, Reggie White, Seth Joyner, Clyde Simmons, and Eric Allen. And I asked you, of all those defenses, probably the 2 best shots were 88 and 91. Which one had the best shot to win the Super Bowl? 60% of you said the 91 defense. Some very good discussion on Facebook about that yesterday. Lots of folks in line with the 91 defense. And it's hard to argue that too, because if they had just 1 ounce of decent quarterback play throughout that season, it's hard to believe that they would not have. I mean, they won 10 games with guys off the street. And just imagine how great that defense would have been if they weren't needed to keep the Eagles in games. I do think, though, from the way the road went, I still think that 88 team, if they got past the Bears in the Fog Bowl, would have won the Super Bowl as well. But thank you, as always, for everyone for participating. We'll have another one here later in the day. All right. Now on to the Phillies. And where to even begin with this game? I feel as though yesterday's game was a microcosm of the entire season. Good start, then the bats got cold, inconsistent pitching from Taijuan Walker, just a whole hot mess. They were 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position, struck out 13 times, which is what this team is kind of known for to do in October. It's a mess. Marsh was benched, which was a good thing. Castellanos hit a bomb, and thank God for him and Schwarber right now. Although Schwarber hasn't been good the past few games, I don't know what to make of this team right now. And it just seems like they're very lethargic, kind of going through the motions. And I'm going to throw something out there that I mentioned in my bold predictions. However, does that fall on the manager? Should Rob Thomson's seat be getting a little warm right now? There's so much at stake. How long do they wait? I don't know. But that is today's question of the day. Should Rob Thomson's seat be heating up a little bit right now, given the Phillies? They've been crap since they beat the Dodgers. And I know it's early in the season. They're only, 15 to 20 games into the season. But with so much at stake, is Rob Thomson's seat warming up a little bit? 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related off your chest? I think it should be warming up a little bit. I think, yes, the players aren't performing, but it's just the energy level with this team. It just seems like, I don't know. It's not a fun team to watch right now. And I think that is translating in why they're kind of struggling a little bit. Maybe they were sniffing themselves a little bit after the Dodgers series. I don't know, but I think his seat should be warming up. But let me know what you think about that. Bryce Harper did reveal that he's having a boy with the baby blue bat, which is actually pretty cool. But they're back at it tonight against the Giants with Jesus Luzardo on the mound. But let's talk about Bryce a little bit. And not many people do this because of what he's done. And I don't want to take any of that away. However, Bryce needs to also step up. This is not just Alec Boehm and Brandon Marsh struggling. Bryce is only hitting 246, 2 homers, 5 RBI at this point in the season. He does have 11 walks, and I know some of that is who Rob Thomson keeps switching the batting order up. But I just kind of putting that on our radar as something to watch. He's not living up to the contract so far this season, and we'll kind of leave it at that. I like Bryce, and I don't want to kind of go down that road right now, but it is something that maybe we need to start looking at as well. But Phillies Giants tonight, Jesus Luzardo on the mound. But the question of the day, should Rob Thomson's seat be getting a little bit warmer right now? I say yes. All right, Flyers in action tonight versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. Only 2 games left on their season before we start focusing on their lottery picks. Let's just end this season and start looking ahead to the future. Do have some Eagles news, and I wanted to kind of talk about this one for a minute. I saw that there was an interview with Emmitt Smith who basically is saying he's tired of Eagles fans. He's tired of hearing "Go Birds." Talked about, they have 2 and they still have a long way to catch up to the Cowboys. Do we, though? I mean, yeah, they have 5, we have 2, but they haven't been relevant since Emmitt Smith played for them. And I just think it's funny that he's sick of hearing "Go Birds" after growing up in the 90s. All I heard was, how about them Cowboys? So, Emmitt, suck it up, Buttercup. And I got one thing to say to you. Go Birds. But a little bit of a bonus question of the day. Are the Cowboys still the Eagles' top rival? And I think they are, but there's certainly a lot of luster that has been gone from this rivalry. But Emmitt Smith is doing his part to make it come back. But, yeah, he's tired of hearing people say "Go Birds." And you know what, Emmitt? welcome to my world growing up hearing, how about them Cowboys and how many rings you got and blah, 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 blah. Go Birds. All right, Sixers time. Time to do our daily Tankathon. We're going to do a Tankathon every day until the draft lottery on May 12th. I also see, and again, people always taking my ideas. I saw another site doing something similar. That's all right. Just give me some credit for it is all I ask. But they came out with theirs, I believe, yesterday was the article. I'm not going to give you the website that's doing it, but I started it back on Friday and kind of giving you the preview. So certainly, possibly taking my idea. But yesterday, our first official Tankathon, Sixers got the first pick. This morning, the Sixers got the third pick. So I like the way this is starting out for the Sixers so far. Again, whether or not you trust Daryl Morey to make the right decision, that's a whole other issue. But right now, it looks like the Sixers are in good position. As yesterday got the first pick, today they got the third pick. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Great things happening with their Sports Fan Network. Go to clashingconferences.com to check out what they have to offer and how you can get involved. Their podcasts are available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. And then, of course, Philly Goat. So many new things over the past 2 weeks have come out on Philly Goat. You had the F Around and Find Out shirt, the Cruck Around and Find Out shirt, the Philly Fanatic Rocks glasses, you name it. And then go back to the old staples. I'm wearing the slides right now. The partnership with iSlides, and then the canvas loafers are second to none. It's almost canvas loafer season. It's starting to warm up a little bit. It was a little too wet in the yard yesterday for softball practice for me to wear them. But go to Philly Goat. Be sure to use that promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, today we're going to go back to 1965. And on this day in 1965, the Celtics beat the Sixers 110-109 in one of the most exciting finishes to a Game 7 in NBA history. The game was played up at the Boston Garden. Sixers were down 11 late in the fourth quarter after leading the game at halftime. And then Wilt Chamberlain took over, scoring 10 straight to cut the Celtics lead to 1 with 5 seconds left. Bill Russell's inbound pass hit a wire on the basket. I don't know whether it was for a camera or what. Ball went out of bounds. Sixers ball. Hal Greer was looking to inbound it. He was looking for Wilt, but Bill Russell was doing a great job covering him. Ended up throwing the pass to Chet Walker. It was tipped by John Havlicek over to Sam Jones. Game over. Celtics would go on to win the NBA championship that year. But the story of this game was Johnny Most, the Celtics radio announcer, with one of the most iconic call in all of sports history on that inbound pass. Havlicek steals it over to Sam Jones. Havlicek stole the ball. It's all over. It's all over. It's a poor, poor impression, but I'm sure you've heard it. Havlicek stole the ball. That was the iconic call from that. But on this day, back in 1965, Celtics beat the Sixers 110-109 in the NBA Eastern Conference Final. Or I guess it was the East Division Final at that time to go to the NBA Championship when John Havlicek tipped the ball over to Sam Jones and one of the most iconic calls, Johnny Most, with Havlicek stole the ball. That happened in 1965. And then finally today, our missing ring spotlight. This one's going to be a little controversial, and that's okay. Feel free to hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line with your thoughts on this one. But Joel Embiid is today's spotlight. And in light of what happened this season, I felt this was the perfect time to really do a retrospective, I guess, on Joe's career. I think it goes without saying that he has all the talent in the world, or had all the talent in the world, but just unfortunately never got there through some part in bad luck, some part just not stepping up in the moment, and then some part because of the team and the players that they put around him. Probably his two best chances were the 18-19 season when they lost to the Raptors in Game 7 on Kawhi's 4-bounce shot. Who knows what would have happened? I don't know if they would have beaten the Warriors that year or not, but it certainly would have been the first time they got past the second round, and they likely would have had some momentum going. I still think the 2021 year probably would have been the chance that they had, and that was the Hawks year when Ben Simmons just completely hid, and they were playing 5-on-4 for most of the later games in that series. I'm still getting all worked up on him passing up a wide open dunk, but enough. And then I guess you could say they had a shot in 22-23 when they blew the 3-2 lead versus the Celtics. That would have done two things: got them past the second round for the first time, also got the Celtics monkey off of their back. But alas, they just never were able to get past the second round up until this point. And I'm not burying Joe yet. I just kind of see the writing on the wall that I don't think they're going to do this with Joe. And it's a shame. Two-time scoring champion, won the MVP. And I will say, again, it's not 100% on him. There were times where he didn't play as well as he could have in those games. But then I feel a lot of it is on the front office for who they chose to keep, who they had playing alongside of him, and things like that. Of course, the injuries. And you see it all the time with big men like that, and he's going through it now with his knee. But some of those injuries were just absolutely freak of nature. Fracturing his orbital bone twice, getting Bell's palsy. Like, those types of things just showed to me that he was snake bitten. We'll always remember the process. Up until probably this year, I was still trusting the process, but it was not meant to be with Joe. And I hope I have to go and record a update on this and saying I was wrong. But Joe is today's missing ring spotlight. Again, all the talent in the world, just got them there, and I think a lot of times he gave his all to get them there and didn't have anything left once they got there. But again, to me though, then you got to question the front office, because why were they not giving him the guys that could have picked up the slack? Very similar to the Allen Iverson situation, but that's a whole other issue for later this month. But Joel Embiid is today's missing rings spotlight. On this day in 1965, Celtics beat the Sixers 110-109 in Game 7 of the Eastern Division Finals to go to the NBA championship, when John Havlicek tipped the ball over to Sam Jones and stole the ball, ending the Sixers' furious rally. We'll have more on the Sixers Tankathon, much like that other site that stole the idea from me, but that's okay. We'll have an update on the Flyers as well as the Phillies. But is Rob Thomson's seat getting a little bit warmer right now? 267-495-8531. That'll get you in. I mean, unfortunately, I feel like that's the only move they have is to fire the manager. But we'll have an update on the Phillies-Giants tomorrow. Hopefully, Jesus Luzardo can step it up and be the stopper for the Phillies today. And remember, over the next 5 weeks, we're going to talk about the 5 harsh truths that we need to accept in our lives. The first one today is no one is responsible for your happiness but you. So don't rely on others. Take that as you go through your weeks and be happy. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for April 15th, 2025. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Tuesday. And hey, Emmitt Smith, until next time, go Birds.